embraced them and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth.
Our forefathers confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. They confessed that they had no home. That's another reason they want to cancel us, because now with the idea of going other places, they can't have the slave just desire to walk off the plantation. Don't you know that your birth certificate is stock? And every time you get a job with human resources, your government makes money off of you? Don't you know that your birth certificate is also an insurance contract, that if you die, they cash in on you? So your slave ticket or your bill of sale have been switched to your birth certificate. They can't have you desiring to know that you are a pilgrim, that you really don't belong in your slave country. So that's one thing that's good about the mindset of coming out of America, is that you're free to operate in an earth that was created by your Father, and to explore other options outside of your captive land. That's very important in your progression. Very important. So it's deeper than just walking someplace and going some other place. But it tells you our fathers had that faith. Abraham was told to go one way, he got up and he went. Not knowing where he was going, but he had faith that Most High would be with him the whole time. It don't take faith to stay on the plantation, especially what they're about to do to you on the plantation, knowing that you're waking up. Finish reading.
Verse 14.
We're in Hebrews 11 and 14. Go ahead.
For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country.
If we are pilgrims, we say such things that we what?
For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country.
So now, if you wake up, you will begin to seek your country. Now, what happens if you find out some other people are in your country? You disrupt the normal balance of things. Read.
Verse 15. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came.
If these people, these slaves, were mindful of the country from which they came out from, read.
They might have had opportunity to have returned.
They might have had opportunity to return. So in your New World Order's legislation, behind closed doors, they got together with their clergy and said, we could never show these people that they're the children of Israel. We can never teach this to them. We can't tell them, because if we tell them they're Israel, they're going to want to come back to Israel. If they knew of the country in which they came out, they might have had opportunity to return. They understand how we think. Why? Because they programmed us. It was their programming. They know the programming is breaking now. If they can't use us for their resources to build their construct, we're no good to them. And now that 300 years have dissipated from the programming of Willie Lynch, either we get down with the Masonic order, like they're trying to do with a lot of our people, or you die. The mark of the beast. That's why they took down Sandy's channel and marked it, because of the mark of the beast and the two-way radio that's in Barack Obama's health care plan. It's not a health care plan. It's a slave plan, bringing forth the mark of the beast and using health care as a proxy. That's the reason they're looking to cancel it, our channels. And they're looking to take us out altogether on the physical level too. And I'm going to go over that in a moment. Not before they bring out this movie and demonize Israelites as a hate cult. When Israelite is not a religion. Most people don't even have no idea what the definition of cult is. Look at cult, the definition of cult, and you tell me who's in a cult. The cult is your brainwashing you received in captivity. And they've spent it to make you believe when one is free and looking to operate outside of your programming, because you are against the normal programming, automatically that's cult. Because you denounce your slavery. And I'm going to tell you something, and this is the reason we're going to do our prayers for everyone. They got a plan that they're about to do that's going to rock this whole world. And I'm going to go over it in one moment. And it's nothing to fear, brothers and sisters. But all in all, be mindful and know that we said this. Know that it was coming out of these scriptures when it happens, and it will happen. Let's go back to the curse. Speaking of them under the KKK hanging us on trees.
Galatians chapter 3 verse 13.
Read.
Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law.
What was the curse of the law? Christ dying on the cross. He died so that we could live. The curse was death. Read.
Being made a curse for us.
How was he made a curse for us? Read.
Cursed is everyone, for it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree.
Cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. So don't tell me the KKK and the Jewish powers who were controlling those plantations didn't know that we were the people of Christ, that we were the children of Israel. They was exemplifying or magnifying that, hanging us on roads as an example, the same as they did in ancient Rome, when they had crucifixes lined in Rome all on the roads of our people. So when they realized we began to wake up, they created the KKK and started crucifying us and burning crosses on our front lawns, knowing that we were the people who were crucified in the past. It was written. Where was it written? Let's get the chapter and verse. Where it was written. When you see it was written in the Old Testament that hanging from a tree was a curse. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 22.
Go ahead.
And if a man have committed sin worthy of death.
If a man have committed sin worthy of death, one of the laws that was worthy of death. Read.
And he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. His body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is a curse.
Is a what?
For he that is hanged is a curse.
So what people were hung from trees if we're not the children of Israel? They knew who we were, and they knew that the captivity was coming off of us. So they began the crucifixions again with rope and a tree. But according to the law, we were not to keep people hung on a tree as an example of the Romans, how they did us later. You were supposed to bury them, but they kept us on a tree as an example to do what? To continue the psychological fear that we would have of government. See, and this is why they would like to cancel us. You're not supposed to know that, brothers and sisters. You're supposed to stay asleep. All right? Women are supposed to be on YouTube, clapping, doing whatever they're doing with no clothes on. YouTube and all these other search engines is supposed to be entertainment and all this other stuff. You're not supposed to find out the truth of yourself and understand that the powers that be, that the Pentagon is at war with you and have always been at war with you. You're not supposed to know. me the one in Revelations with the curse in Revelations 11.
Revelations chapter 11, verse 8.
Read.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, because we know Sodom was known for what? Homosexuality. And Egypt was a place of our bondage. That's why it's called spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Read.
Where also our Lord was crucified.
And it says, where also our Lord was crucified, because Christ was the curse that was hung from a tree. Showing you that Christ's people was hung from a tree. And the place spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. That's America, brothers and sisters. That's what the KKK was representing. And the KKK was not no Aryan white group that was against black people. All that was made up so that it could pit white Christians against blacks. The white Christians in America are also being utilized in the Khazars divide and conquer game. White Aryans under Hitler did not create the KKK. Albert Pike, the Jewish faction. As a matter of fact, the KKK was a right of the Masons. You're not supposed to know that, brothers and sisters. Now there's more. Okay, good. All right. Finish reading. No. I needed that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Now go back to Galatians, the one we had in Galatians 4.
Galatians chapter 3, verse 13.
3 and 13, go ahead.
Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law.
The curse of the law is what? Death. Read.
Being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree.
Cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. So Christ became a curse for us. A public example of mockery before the Romans. And this is what happened to our people in slavery. The same crucifixes that they did for us on a tree, they began it in our time after slavery was abolished. Why? Because once they abolished slavery, they needed a new fear tactic. So they opened, not only did they begin that, they opened the borders for what you would call indentured servants. But they weren't really indentured servants. These were they would use from Europe to fight against the children of Israel who are now free, and would take the jobs that would normally be relegated to those slaves. So that now our people who are free would be what? Dependent on these new immigrants who are coming over, who would take the jobs that we once did for free and turn them into trades. It was, brothers and sisters, this is what these things are all about. Now, that's on the physical side and the psychological side, but let's stay on the psychological side also. Their biggest psychological programming was Christianity. Another reason that they canceled the channel. You can go all through these social networks and everything, and they would never cancel a regular Christian page. Ever. Why? That's part of our psychological program. Get me the American Holocaust real quick. And give me some... Brother Mark got us this book a long time ago called The Conquest of the New World in the American Holocaust. So you're not supposed to know about things like this. And it goes into what happened to some of the Indian tribes.